What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. Today I've got some more crazy entitled parent stories for you, so sit back, relax, and let's get straight into them. Entitled Mum follows me home because I'm playing Pokemon Go. I just discovered this subreddit, and boy do I have some stories to tell. This happened back in February, so the dialogue isn't completely on point, thus I apologise. So, the park in my town is home to 2 Pokemon Go gyms. I like to walk to the park and back at least once a day to get some distance in and take those 2 gyms. I've done this every day since about December. This time around, there is just the one family at the park. I look over and give a look because I heard a kid screaming. It turns out Daddy was just messing with him after he got off a slide. I walk over to a bench, sit down, and pull out my phone and start endlessly tapping in order to take this gym as quickly as possible. As I was just finishing up, I heard hard stomping coming in my direction. I looked up. There I see the kid's mother giving me a dirty stare as she comes towards me. Is there anything I can do for you, Mom? What are you doing at a children's park? You look like you're 17. I was 14 at the time. Since I had a big build, I was often mistaken for being much older than I was. Actually, I'm 14 and I'm just sitting here playing Pokemon Go. I was actually just getting ready to leave. You weren't playing Pokemon Go, you were taking pictures of my kids for some child molestation scheme. This took me by surprise. I, for one, was not a child molester. Also, I wasn't taking pictures of Jack Squat. No, I wasn't. I was playing Pokemon Go. Give me your goddamn phone and your name and number. Wait, but surely if you now have her phone, you don't need her number anymore? Let's forget about that. Let's carry on. I don't have to give you anything. I'm an adult with 3 kids, yet only 2 were at the park. You will do what I say so my honey buns can go back to their peaceful playtime. I don't have to do anything and I'll be going home now. I get up and start walking back to my house. Sit back down, young man, and give me your phone or I will call the cops. I'm quite irritated at this point, but I decided to say something stupid. Okay, boomer. The entitled mum then raged and ran back to her kids. I thought that was the end of her. It wasn't. I turn the corner to a separate street and hear loud honking. I turn, thinking it's a friend or something, but instead it's the entitled mum sitting in the driver's seat. Stop your freaking butt right now and give me your phone and name so I can call the police. No, please quit following me. Fine, well I will follow you home then. Wait, what? I kept walking home with the entitled mum following me. I pulled out my phone and called my mother to warn her of the situation. So yeah, Mum, I've got this crazy lady following me, demanding I give her my phone, and she won't stop till I get home. My mum said, just come home, honey, I'll deal with it. So I kept walking home. When I got there, I saw Mum standing in the front yard, arms crossed, looking at the car behind me. The entitled mum gets out of her car. Mom, is this your son? Yes, it is, and you have no right to be following him home like that. Why the frick? My family really like cursing, but I haven't got into it yet. Would you follow my son home, you pea-sucking female dog? More bad stuff was said, but my mother was angry. Well, your son took pictures of my kids for a child molestation scheme. I took no pictures. He also yelled bad things at me. Well, you deserve it, you idiot. You followed my son home illegally and you're now threatening him. I was dumbfounded. My mum doesn't normally go off on people like this. The entitled mum just stared. My children have the right to not be in any pictures and not have to be in a park with a teenager playing a video game. And my son has the right to not get followed by some idiot for no reason at all. And I have the right to call the police when my children's privacy is threatened. Sure enough, 30 seconds later, a cop car comes up our streets and parks by our driveway. The police officer gets out. We knew him. He is the husband of a substitute teacher that teaches often at my school. I'm here responding to a report of child molestation and harassment. That kid was taking pictures of my kids for a child molestation scheme. I wasn't taking any pictures. And he held foul language at me in front of my children, and now his mum is threatening to shoot me. For the record, my family owned a BB gun and a Nerf gun. Not a real gun then. Look, officer, this lady followed my son home after hurling foul language at him for playing a video game at a park. The cop then referred to the entitled mum. Mom, why do you think he was taking pictures of your children? Because he sat on a bench facing my kids at the park by the ship? The ship she was talking about was a ship play structure inside the park. The cop seemed to understand what she was talking about. And you realise that is the only bench in the area of the park? But he didn't have to sit there, he could have stayed standing. Mom, there is no law mandating a teenager to not sit on a public bench to play a game. You still need to check his phone and give it to me so I can make sure my sweet children aren't on there, and I should have the phone too. Why should you have his phone? Mom, I can't do so without a warrant. Anyways, from the information here, it seems you are lying to a police officer. Please come with me. The cop led her to his car and they drove away. A few days later, we got a call asking if he wanted to press charges for harassment. I was busy with school and didn't want to go to court, so I declined. The entitled mum apparently was fined for the ordeal and we haven't heard from her since. Well, yeah, not too much I can say about this story really. Pokemon Go is a class game. Nothing wrong with playing it in public, obviously. Clearly, like, just because someone's got their phone out sitting on a bench and there happens to be your kids playing in front of them, it doesn't mean they're taking photos or filming them, whatever. Like, come on. It's a bit weird to, you know, step to that conclusion when it's just a kid playing Pokemon Go. Surely go and ask them what they're actually doing rather than saying, you know, straight away, why are you filming my children in the park? Like, come on, a little bit of common sense wouldn't go amiss. It's also a bit weird why this entitled mum would suddenly jump to child molestation scheme. Like, where she got that from? Fair enough if the person was actually filming or taking photos of your kid, but clearly they weren't. They were playing a great game, Pokemon Go, guys. I mean, I assume a lot of you played it or still play it perhaps. Obviously a bit more difficult now in lockdown, but yeah. Pretty strange entitled parent, that's all I can say about that. Another thing that I just thought of, if I was this kid, you may think to yourselves, I know what you guys are probably thinking, just show her your phone, the fact that you don't have any photos on it. But you don't know this woman, like this woman might have just stolen it. You know, normally when someone says, oh, what's the time, or can I see your phone? That means that maybe they might be looking to steal your phone. You know, for OP right here, the same thing could have happened to him if he wasn't careful. So I don't disagree with him not showing the entitled mum the phone to just stop the situation immediately. On top of the fact that this entitled mum is clearly like crazy and deluded. Yeah, let's move on. So now for our second story. Entitled mum tells me I should stop using pervert's underwear. So, when I was younger and thinner, I was obsessed with certain kind of male underwear, hip briefs and jock straps to be exact. Please don't judge me, I barely had any trunks or boxers to be honest. Our story begins when I had to do an internship out of my hometown, and I decided to rent a room in a boarding house near my new job. It was a good place most of the time, but it had a tiny problem. The terrace doubled as a laundry room, half was recreational space, the other half was for laundry duty, and we had no dryers, only washers. Meaning that for drying our clothes, we had to put them on the clotheslines that were installed for that purpose. It was forbidden to dry clothes inside the rooms because the high humidity of the town wouldn't allow it. And the owner had bad experiences before with rooms literally stenching the whole building due to wet clothes. With this context, you may see where this is going. I had to let all my very revealing underwear on the terrace for everyone to see, but apart from the embarrassment, I didn't think anything else would come of it. I was, of course, wrong. One of the other tenants in the house was your typical single mother with a little boy and a little girl. Because the place had no backyard, when the kids got bored, they went up to the terrace to play and get some air. It seems that on one of their trips, they saw me hanging my clothes. The boy found my jock straps amusing and asked his mum if she could buy him something similar. This woman was livid. She went up, took all my clothes down, banged my door and threw it all in my face while ranting about me trying to corrupt children. She told me, well, she shouted actually, that I could not hang my underwear out in the open, but I kindly reminded her of the building rules about wet clothes. She then said I should stop using pervert's underwear so that it wouldn't be a problem. I just looked at her and asked if she was really trying to order me on what kind of underwear I should use. This was like a cold bucket on her, as she was left with no words. I guess hearing it out loud from another human being showed her how ridiculous the idea sounded. Her face turned red from embarrassment as she went away without answering. Some days later, the owner of the building told me she had spoken to him about the problem, referencing not only my private clothes but everyone's underwear, and convinced him to buy a dryer in order to prevent it. So, in the end, the entitled mum actually improved our quality of life thanks to her rant. So that's good, I guess. Thanks for reading, guys. You know what, guys, and comment down below if I'm wrong here, but I just think this might be the first time that an entitled parent has actually made the world better for other people. you know, after a rant from an entitled parent, usually people just get annoyed and we see some sort of karma and the Karen, you know, getting what she deserves, a little bit of justice. But in this situation, for the very first time, I think, I might be wrong here, but you know, their lives were actually improved in this situation. All the characters now have a dryer to use, and you know, that flat can go on, drying their clothes, not hanging their wet clothes out for kids to see. It seems like everything went well at the end of this. It probably sucks, by the way, being that landlord and having Karen as your tenant, your resident, and having her ringing you all the time and saying, oh, this has gone wrong, you need to buy a dryer, you need to invest more in this building. But yeah, as I say, it sounds like overall this was a good thing. Yeah, pretty crazy. I might be wrong, but I think this is the first time this has ever happened that I know of. Anyway guys, that is going to do it for this episode of Entitled Parents. If you liked what you see, remember to subscribe to the channel. We're on about, what, 515,000 subscribers. Let's try and get to 520 as quickly as possible. Also, if you want more from me right away, videos are up on screen, on my right and my left. And now I'm going to put a subscribe button over my face. What? Why would I do that? You now can't even see my eyes. Yeah, well, I'll see you next time anyway, guys.